So Fable 2 is an action RPG, and it's focused around the idea that your choices have an effect on the world. And Christian, my first question to you is, how successful do you think Fable 2 is at that?
I think playing Fable 2 is like stepping into a time portal and going back to a time when choices matter meant pick a good or evil choice.
Okay, that's a good answer. So not a lot of nuance.
No, there's one situation in which picking the good choice is literally marrying someone.
Big picture, so have you played, what's your Fable experience here?
I've played a few hours of Fable 1, and that was about 5 years ago, so I don't remember it very well.
Okay.
So this might as well be my first Fable.
Because I think Fable, if I can talk about the first Fable, is very generic in its storytelling, in a way I kind of appreciate, where it's kind of like, you like start out as nothing, and then you do quests, and you fight bad guys, or good guys, and then you slowly gain a reputation, and then at the end you fight the big bad guy, and you kill him, and then it's like game over. But
okay.
This game, it starts off a lot different than that.
Yeah. It's like the dark middle chapter.
This game kind of starts you off...
You're a little tot.
You're a little tot. You're wandering around this terrible environment, and people are soliciting sex from your sister, and you are, like, getting death threats from people, and it's this very dark and moody beginning to this game, especially compared to the first one. Were you put off at all, or were you like...
No, I guess the chipper British accents kind of just glazed that over for me. It didn't really seem... The game has a really weird sense of humor, very British sense of humor.
I love it. It's probably my favorite part of the game.
Yeah, the sense of humor.
Writing and the humor, yeah.
I guess the subject matter itself is much darker in tone than the actual way that people talk around it. So how do you feel about the combat in Fable 2?
I think it's bad.
Combat in Fable 2 is like a proto-Arkham combat system. The camera's behind you, and then you get into a fight, and the camera kind of like pulls up more above you, so that you can see all the other people around you, and then you start like whacking people, and then you know when people are gonna block, so you either have to like do the jump thing around them or shoot them once in order to get them to stop blocking, or else start hitting another person. It feels Arkham-y. It's just not quite there yet. A lot of it just evolved into me smacking things, and if they started blocking, I'd roll away and just shoot them a bunch. The magic is kind of cool.
Yeah, it's interesting where you charge it to either choose the magic or power up the magic.
Yeah, and
in a way.
There's no mana or anything like that, which is an interesting choice. And so I was getting like these Willpower Potions, and I was asking what the heck are these for, and then I saw them like halfway through the game and was like, oh, these give me XP. Yeah, okay, so we can get into the experience.
Yeah.
So when you start the game, I was very confused because the like attack damage stuff is blue, and then the like magic stuff is red, and I was like, in what situations is this the case? Yeah. And then I realized that that's the color of the buttons, and then I facepalmed.
Oh, I didn't even... Okay.
Experience is a collectible, and I don't really like that very much because it's almost pointless. It just adds this extra 2 seconds after you're done with every single battle where you just sit, press the suck-in experience button, and then you're done.
And also death has no penalty, basically. Which I realized halfway through, and then I was like, well, this game is dumb now. You get the experience points for the thing you're using. So if you use melee, you get melee experience points. And there's residual anger about the system, because when I played the first Fable, I was like, the promise was your character evolves based on what you do, which is a really cool idea. But then you realize that all that means is if you hit a guy with a sword, you get the experience points that makes you better at that.
Yep.
And all that means is that you can buy the upgrade that makes you stronger, and then your guy goes up like a notch in strength or physique. And then your body evolves to reflect that, but not in an organic way, in a very metered and like predetermined way. And that is the same in this game as it was in Fable 1. I would say it's even worse in this one because I played as a lady, which you couldn't do in the first game, and the lady looks like a monster when you upgrade her strength or anything because like her chest and arms like puff out.
Yeah.
And then like her back is all bent weird and she looks like a heathen. And then when I realized you didn't lose anything really when you die, I sold all my melee abilities so that my character wouldn't look like the devil. Because I was so sick of looking at my character. Which sucks because the entire point of Fable is to like have this character that you're evolving as you play and like follows your journey.
Yeah, I didn't realize that your character changes. That actually explains why my guy ended up looking like half of his face was a chin.
I hate because I'm so critical of stuff, but I actually had a good time playing this game.
Yeah.
It's just the combat is just not
lots of little
interesting
little holes in it that you can poke at. What struck me as very interesting is that in my eyes this game is kind of like a Sims RPG game.
Ooh.
In a sense, because a major portion of the gameplay is social interaction based with like other NPCs, and like they reinforce that with a bunch of different things. So like you can have a wife and then you have to buy them a house, and then you can have a kid with them, and the campaign builds on that. Like the bad guy will like kill your wife at one point if you have a wife or something like that, or a spouse. I feel like 10 years ago I would have been obsessed with this game because I always wanted to play The Sims, but my parents wouldn't let me because it was rated teen and I wasn't 13 yet. This whole social interaction thing just really amused me when I was younger, and now it shows its cracks a little bit more to me.
Yeah,
it's
very shallow.
You're just moving this bar up, but they try and reinforce it more with, like I said, the marriage thing, and then also there's people who give you gifts if they like you enough, and then there's also this real estate portion of the game.
Ooh, this is my favorite.
Where you buy stuff, and then you buy properties, and then you can rent out those properties, and then you get this like continuous income. And you
can change the furniture to make the value go up. Get more money.
Yeah. Which is kind of crazy. That's a crazy thing to put in an action role-playing game where you can just ignore it. And I felt like a lot of development effort went into this.
Yeah, I guess what I would say is that I think other games are better about giving you a house that you feel like is your own.
Yep.
That kind of grows with you, because each of these buildings is just kind of like a container where like furniture nodes are, and you can just upgrade the furniture. And it never felt like I had like a home base really.
Yeah, this game has a very interesting RPG economy. You don't get gold by doing quests. Quests don't even give you experience, they just give you this like renown, which is this thing that you need in order to get past certain gates that they set for you in the main quest line. You get most of the gold from just working at one of these job mini games where it uses the mini game bar.
Right.
And I felt like you got most of the money from just doing a mini game and playing it for like 6 hours.
Yeah, and they're not good mini games, and they're all the same thing.
Yeah, they all use the same mini game bar, and they all involve trying to get it in the green part.
The frame rate on it is like 2.
Yeah,
so it's like
and it's like bad, and there's input lag, which is incredibly frustrating.
In the whole game. The whole game seems like you're like telling what you want to happen to a person, and then they're doing it or something.
I was using a wired controller too, so like I tried to deliberately reduce the input lag as much as possible.
It's real bad.
But they let you fast travel pretty easily. You just select a quest and it's like, oh, do you want to fast travel to the area that this is in? Sure.
Yeah. And they give you the breadcrumb trail, which is like crazy because it's like telling you how to. It's like. It feels like there should be no player agency in this game at all, because it's like, okay, follow this path, and when the dog barks, it means there's a collectible, and then get that, and then go back to the trail, and it just takes you to the place. But it doesn't feel insulting or like, it's not like the game thinks you're dumb. It's just like, you know, this is just where you go.
Yeah, it's pretty linear as far as RPGs are concerned, but all the social aspects are where it's much less linear, I feel like. So, how do you feel about the story?
I think it's good.
When you start out, introduced to this old lady, what's her name? I don't remember what her name is.
She is probably my least favorite.
Yes, I don't like her at all. She is basically God, because she just tells you.
I guess.
She tells you everything you're supposed to do, and she's like there's one situation in which she shows emotion, and even then it doesn't go any differently than how she planned it.
It doesn't register as like she's like the story of the game made into a person, where she's just like, now I'm telling you what's happening and what you must do. I'm reading Lord of the Rings, so you gotta bear with me. But like when Gandalf shows up, it's like, oh dude, I love Gandalf.
Yeah,
he's awesome. But when this lady shows up, it's like, oh okay, she's gonna tell me what to do. Yeah, I guess basically the cool thing about the first hour is that it establishes that you're like a hero, which is like a capital H hero. It's like a concept within the series. Which means
really?
Like
I didn't know this. Okay.
You're like a descendant of the Fable I person, because he was a hero.
Yep,
so it's like the Heroes Guild.
Gotcha, that explains a lot.
Yeah, because what you're trying to do is find these 3 heroes.
Get the gang together.
I think that's a great plot for... It's not like super complicated, but it's like, okay, you gotta go
it's a
find
decent
these
setup for the shenanigans you're about to do.
Yeah. And I like them a lot.
Yeah, you run into... So the first one's Hannah.
Yeah, and I liked her a lot. I thought she was a really cool character.
She's good. She's a monk. She doesn't want to fight, but she ends up fighting anyway, and then she grabs a hammer and smashes people and tells people to call her Hammer.
Yeah.
And she represents the physique, the blue button on the Xbox 360 controller.
Yeah. But she has... I like her arc, because she was like... She's really the only of the 3 that feels like you're actually like going on a quest with her, because I feel like the last 2 kind of hit real snappy and then the game's over. This has the markings of a game that got rushed out.
Yeah, definitely. Because like right after that, you got to go find the second person, and he's stuck in this thing called the Spire. The Spire is just completely bonkers to me.
I think this is super daring and cool that they did this.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking too. That this is really ballsy of a move for a RPG. And I felt like they could have drawn this part out a little bit more. It went kind of fast because 10 years pass while you're in the Spire, which is kind of awesome.
Yeah, and they remind you of that like constantly. It's like time is passing.
Yeah. And then your person goes from like a young adult to almost middle-aged adult, and then my person looked really ugly at that point because his chin got bigger.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. I was about to die at one point, so I ate like 2 pies, and so my fatness went up by like 4, and then my dude was just huge. And so after I got out of the Spire, I went and bought celery, and like 3 sticks of celery brought it down enough to make it look okay now. And then you go up to this guy, and he's like the lieutenant or whatever. He tells you got to do what I say, and then you can choose not to do what he says, and then the game makes you lose experience if you do that.
In a game where experience actually mattered, that would be a super good way of handling that. You can see what they were going for, though.
Yeah. In a lesser game, they would have just made you lose life, but not made it matter in that situation all that much.
Right.
Whereas here, they're irrevocably taking away your experience and even like taking away skills that you most recently learned. It's a lot of effort to put into such a small part of the game. Yeah.
But I felt like they really wanted it to have impact and be like a major shift in the game. And I think they pulled it up.
Yeah, I think so too. Pretty sweet.
But then you come back.
And then you come back, it's 10 years later, your dog's probably 40 years old. And he's still sitting there waiting for you. And then Hannah sees you, she doesn't look any different.
Yeah, but the world changes a lot.
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting too. Because the whole Spire thing, that's why it's even more of a risk to take, because you have to pump all this development into aging the world by 10 years on top of you being at this place for 10 years, which is like one of the only 2 times you're ever at this place.
It's not something I feel like most games would do.
No.
I don't think this game would be half as memorable if it didn't have this like section in the middle.
Yeah. And then the rest of it is just kind of fine.
It's like the big rock is shooting lightning at us, help, but it doesn't matter because we can't die, and then shoot the thing. And then...
And then you have to find the sassy rogue man.
I love him.
Who represents the yellow button on the Xbox 360 controller.
Reaver.
Yep. See, I was fine with him because I was under the impression that he was kind of like the sassy rogue man who talked a big talk, but deep down, you know, he was kind of like, he wasn't gonna do what he thought was wrong.
Sure.
But then he goes and shoots the cameraman because the cameraman says the picture's gonna take too long to develop, and then I'm like, okay, I don't like you anymore.
Yeah.
That's when he lost me.
But I love him because he's so evil.
Yeah, he's pretty mean. I suppose they needed someone for you to gravitate towards if you're on an evil playthrough.
Oh, sure. I hadn't even thought about that. But at the same time, doesn't that just kind of show the flaws of the morality system because he's evil in a way that your character can never really be? Because he's like slimy and
definitely
he does things for himself, whereas if you're evil, you just kind of kill things.
Yeah.
And it's like smash things with a hammer.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not that interesting, so.
And then there's no final boss. He just monologues, and then all the 3 colored buttons on the Xbox controller get around, and then they shoot their color beams at him, and then he's weakened, and he starts monologuing.
And then you kill him.
Yeah. And so, yeah, you just choose to kill him, and then you kill him, and then you get to choose what to do with the spire.
And I think this is one of the more interesting moral choices that a game, like an ending choice, which just kind of means that no game does ending choices very well, but
yeah,
I at least thought about this more than I usually think about.
Okay.
At least between 2 of them.
Okay.
Because like, I don't think the money is an interesting choice because you get money automatically. Or I could bring my dog back, or I could bring back all the people who died working on this.
Okay. Yeah, mine. It seems like they give you the same good choice, which is bring everyone back. The same bad choice, which is take money, and then the same different second choice, where mine was because I was married in the game. It was bring my family back.
Yeah. Well, they say like bring back your loved ones, but I didn't have any, so it was just the dog.
Oh, it was just the dog. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. Which one did you choose?
Make the people, because you get good or bad karma points based on this decision, and so the game is kind of. It's assuming that the lives of all of these other innocent people mean more than the lives of like your loved ones, or like it assumes that trying to get money would be bad in this situation because you could do good things with that money. But the Spire, that was good.
Yeah.
I think this game's pretty decent though. I think it's pretty good. It is.
There's a lot of stuff to like about this game. It's just... Oh! Are we kind of wrapping up? Because there was one more thing I wanted to...
Yeah, go nuts. Go into it.
I just feel like it sucks because this game takes the effort of letting you play as a woman, but then it doesn't do anything to make you feel like you're actually playing as a woman.
Oh, really? How so?
Well, because I didn't play it as a man, so I can't...
Yeah. Comment
compare
on
the
that.
two.
Yeah.
But it never felt to me like anything was affected by the fact that I was a woman. It just felt like I was a man in a woman's body doing things.
Is that a bad thing?
Yes.
Yeah?
Because why play as a woman then? Hannah is a good example of a female character that has masculine traits but is not defined. You know, like she's not just a man, you know, with a woman's model. It's like you can tell she's a woman, even though she's masculine. But my character was just like silent.
Yeah.
Bulk man woman, and it was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, do you want to rank this mother?
I feel like it's not as good as Metroid Prime, but I feel like it's better than Resident Evil.
That's where you're putting it?
What are you thinking?
Yeah.
Yeah? Are you feeling that?
Is this where we announce our new project here? Our new
the Sonic block?
Yeah, we're gonna do most. The main
Sonic entries at the very least.
At the very least, but I'd like to branch out a little also.
Yeah.
So we're gonna do Sonic the Hedgehog. Yeah.
There you go.
Fun.
It'll be great. It'll be really interesting to see if Sonic is good or not.